I'm going to continue to create a lot of content. I want to continue to inspire creatives to just live their dream, create that content. Cause I know what the corporate world's like. And that's why, like, when we first met, I'm like hyping you up. I'm like, dude, that's a great idea, you know? But I want to keep like encouraging people to create St. Louis content because they don't realize that people from all over, I've connected with people from all over the world through Instagram. It's crazy. Like in 2020, I was talking to someone in the United Kingdom about what was going on there. And we were talking, and we just like connected through food.
Right.
I'll never run out of content. Like, we have so many great restaurants, places I need to go back a second, third time. But 5 years from now, the STL food vlog it'll be huge. I really believe in that because we don't have anything like that here in St. Louis. It's going to be all St. Louis based. It's going to have something for, you know, what can kids do in the city? And maybe I walk around with Bella. Maybe Bella and I will have a food review series. I don't know.
Right.
We're going to, man, I'm so excited for that project.
Welcome back to the STL Bucket List Show. I am your host, Luke Farrell. Yet another week, Marissa is actually out. She is changing the lives of students in America, and I couldn't be more proud of her for doing that. But she'll be back next week, so you guys stay tuned for that. And of course, my people over here at Half Coast Studios, they're the hottest podcast studio in St. Louis, better yet, the world. If you guys have a podcast or if you want to start a podcast, all you have to do is hit me up or hit these guys at Half Coast Studios up and they'll take care of you. So we have a very special guest today. It is a lunchtime, so this is kind of perfect to have this guest on for lunch. So we have my man BradENSTL in the studio today. He's going to be sharing some foodie stories. He's going to be sharing some stuff about St. Louis. So first of all, thank you for coming on, Brad.
Hey, thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, man, this is special. So we're about 15 episodes in and we're starting to figure out what kind of content we want to create. So a lot of times when we ask a guest when they come on is we like to hear about your upbringing. I know you're from St. Louis. Tell us about where you're from. Tell us some stories about you growing up, and then just kind of go into who Braden is.
All right, man. Well, if you're ready,
Let's
got you, dude. So born and raised South City, Dutchtown neighborhood, Miami and Nebraska. And so I know a lot of people that live out in the county, they hear State Street. And so some of that stuff is true of what you have heard about it. So kind of backtrack a little bit. Mom and dad, I grew up with two amazing parents, brothers, and we grew up in that neighborhood. I was part of the DSEG program. So that's where you live in the city and you get bused out to a county school. And so if I didn't, I would have gone to a public school where I would have gone through metal detectors every single day. And so going to a county school opened my eyes to like possibilities, right? So where I grew up, especially like Cherokee Street early on when I was younger, it was pretty vacant and it's pretty rough. Like it's crazy for me to walk around right now because like when I was younger, like you couldn't even walk 2 blocks up the street without having to worry about things. But yeah, like was born in the city. I went to school in the county, helped change my perspective on things. But like growing up in the city, like my parents would have us stay in the house a lot of the time because, you know, they didn't want us outside where there were things going on, you know? But yeah, you know, sometimes I'd be playing basketball in my backyard. You'd have like drive-bys and you kind of get to the point where you would become immune to it. And so I would still be, you know, playing basketball and you would just see like people that just was shooting up a car or something, just running through the alley. And like, it was crazy for me to like witness that and see what that area has become now. Like it's gotten a lot better. But what really has changed like my perspective on things was when I went off to college. I played college basketball at like Flow Valley and I was like, all right, I'm not going pro, but it was like, my high school sweetheart married Jasmine. She went to Missouri State and I got to go to Missouri State. I graduated there and I got to meet all kinds of people from all walks of life. And so it was interesting to me that like, I learned that people didn't have to wake up at 5:30 in the morning to go to school, get bussed out to the county. I learned that like people didn't get home at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock because basketball and they had to take a bus or a cab. And then I also saw what happened in neighborhoods that had opportunity, right? That had like opportunity. So like had after school programs and saw how those people became who they are. And so like now as an adult, when I experience St. Louis, I have seen it, you know, and it's like rough as patch, you know, and we still have rough areas, but it's like, I see how the neighborhood I grew up is changing. And so it's like I'm trying to do my part in sharing like that real St. Louis feel, you know what I mean? In with all the new people coming in, like, kind of telling them like who we are, our culture. And even though I did witness like a lot of like stuff growing up just in the neighborhood, it really taught me more to be empathetic to people because a lot of people in our city, it's just about opportunity, right? And so if you don't have after school programs, you don't have people that believe in you, you're probably doing some stuff you shouldn't do. But yeah, I feel like that was a very deep start to it. But like, I feel like, I've been holding that in about the city. And that's like part of the reason I love it so much is because I have seen it at its worst and I want to see it at its best and just do my part in highlighting that.
No, and that influences in your content because, having that motivation that's different than other people. So, my motivation actually being from the county, moving to St. Louis about 4 years ago, I moved to South City. We're neighbors, we know. So I saw a lot of potential and I saw a lot of small businesses, and that's what opened my eyes up to small business culture, because in the county there was not small businesses.
Yeah.
It was all like
chains.
Are we going to Texas Roadhouse or Longhorn tonight?
Yeah,
I love those spots. They're good, but that's all my family goes is those two spots. Or there's not these options to support directly influence a family's life. So in our content, when we started, we're like, how can we affect small businesses and just do our little part? And it pairs well with what we do with marketing too, because it's kind of it goes together. So that's cool to hear your story. I knew you were from there, but like hearing those stories, I mean, and then coming out to where you are now, like when you went out to school, tell me about that transition a little bit more. Like when you went from St. Louis to Mo State. I mean, it's a big difference.
Oh man, it is. It was a lot of fun. I met a lot of great people down there, and it's funny because like most of the people I met actually lived in the county. And I'll never forget the first time I heard of Wentzville. It was in college. Like I had someone ask me, "Hey, where are you from?" And I'm like, "St. Louis." "Well, what part?" "St. Louis City." I'm like, "What do you mean? Like where are you from?" And they said Wentzville. And I'm like, "What's that?" And now I know that. I know Fallon. I know what's your old neck of the woods?
Dardine Prairie.
Dardine Prairie.
Yeah.
But
in between Wentzville, Lake St. Louis, like right there. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been out there a lot for work lately, so I've gotten to know the area. But yeah, Missouri State, it was a good time. It was kind of funny. I was thinking about this the other day. So I was in a fraternity, still great friends with a lot of my fraternity brothers, and like I thought about this story or this like what happened was one time there was a limo in a grocery store parking lot. And I just asked the guy, like, "Hey, man, can you give me a ride to a party?" And so I showed up to a party in a limo. And so if I had to describe my college experience, like that incident itself is me showing up to a party in a limo, randomly drunk. That was my college experience. So it was like a great time down in like Missouri State.
Yeah, no, that's huge. And that's funny because when we were growing up in like Dardine Prairie, we said that we're from St. Louis because if you told somebody on vacation like, "Oh, I live in Dardine Prairie, Missouri," they think you live in like the boonies.
Yeah.
Which Wentzville, and that technically is kind of the boonies, but at the same time, like I met a lot of people. Me and Marissa met out there. Like a lot of like different things happened, but it definitely opened my eyes up moving to St. Louis, and I immediately got inspired to really become an entrepreneur because I've seen other people doing things. Because I'm a big proponent on people like listening to mentors that have what you want and have been where you've been. So I wanted to lead that into like some mentorship. I mean, do you have anybody that mentored you up growing? I mean, was it mostly your parents, or did you have other people in your life that you like were looked up to and stuff like that?
I would say definitely my parents, right? But then like, when you're younger, you look up to people like, like I've been a LeBron James fan since I was 12, right? I was a big Dwayne Johnson fan when I was a kid running around the house saying, do you smell what the Rock is cooking, Yeah. And so like there were those people, like I always say, like I have two great parents that taught me a lot. My uncle Rashad, my aunt Janet, like they were always there for me. But like mentors just growing up, I mean, I've had so many great people in my life that have believed in me. And I mean, it takes a community, I think, especially like growing up in South St. Louis. And even like right now, I have so many people that I'm connected with. Like I'm like some of my best friends, like I talk to their dads, on the regular basis. Like my buddy Tyler, like his dad Mike is the reason I even started BradENSTL, because he was like, "Hey, you're going to all these places, you tag them in your story, and it's there for 24 hours and it's gone." And then you would I would run into friends and like, "Hey, where did you eat at like a week or two ago?" I'm like, "I don't know, man. I'm out here living life." And so it was kind of like my way of like kind of keeping like a blog on what I did. And I guess that could kind of transition into like food. But I was going to launch on 314 Day in 2020. Everything shut down on like 310 day, whatever,
Yeah, it
March
was
the
like
10th.
Yeah, it was like March 10th or something like that, or like the 13th. It was like real close to 314 day. Yeah.
And so like, man, I had tickets for like March Madness. I was going to be on the ice after a Blues game. I had all this and that playing it. Everything shut down. And so I was like, what am I going to do? It was a backwards year, so I launched on 413 day.
Mm-hmm.
And so I didn't really know the direction I was going to go with that. I knew I wanted to like highlight local stuff, but I was like, do I do restaurants? And so I was doing all kinds of research. And I ran like 2 or 3 ads, I think, to start my account. And I was like, man, this feels weird. Like I feel like from St. Louis, we grow things up from like the ground up, you know what I mean? And so, man, I would just like follow like random people that feel like they were doing great things. They were creative. And it's like crazy. Cause I think about literally before I came to talk to you, I was in iHeartRadio because I'm going to be on the radio later today. And whenever I started this account, like I never expected any of this.
Right. No, I can see that, dude. I feel the same way because we started the account, strictly just off a trip that we took to Chicago. Mm-hmm. Marissa was my girlfriend then, now wife, but she was,
congrats.
Yeah, the ring. But so she was on Instagram the whole weekend finding us things to do. Mm-hmm. And then when I came back to St. Louis, we had lived in South City for like 3 months at that time. So we were still new. We just went to the basic places that we found on Google or that our family referred us to go to. So then when I came back to St. Louis, I was like, there's pages, but we looked at Explore St. Louis. We looked at downtown St. Louis. We looked at all these pages and none of them were actually giving me advice on places to go in the city. Mm-hmm. So how can we make it simple? How can we highlight the people, places, and things in St. Louis that make it special? So I decided to make the page just for me and her. Called STL Bucket List. You take inspiration from bigger cities. I look at San Diego, LA, Austin, Dallas, all these big cities to create stuff for STL Bucket List because we're always last to the party. It goes from the coast and then it moves its way in.
It's like COVID.
We've talked to that. Yeah.
COVID was like bam, bam, Chicago, Nashville, St. Louis.
Finally. Yeah. And now it just won't go away. But but yeah, that was what we looked at as inspiration from that. So STL Bucket List started as just me and her documenting the places that we went out to eat. And then I found out, I'm like, what if I highlight other photographers and other like people that are doing stuff because I can only create so much content. Yeah. You know how hard it is. I mean, you put out a lot of content, but it's still hard. I mean, imagine if you could take other people's content and repurpose that into stuff like lists and things to do and like pictures. And
give them an opportunity for their stuff to be seen.
Well, that's true. And that was what I thought about it at first. And I figured out the hard way when I was taking people's content. And stupid, I was like 22 and I would edit their content. And I was like, damn, that's kind of disrespectful. I didn't know it at that point. But I did it because I was like, oh, if I just turned up like the brightness on it would look a little bit better. And like some photographers were like, yo, that's whack. And this was when I was like at 800 followers. And I was like, okay, word. And I was like, okay, word. I'm going to focus on highlighting them and like showcasing them. So then it turned into that. And then flash forward like 2 years now, we have the podcast, we have the radio show. We're going to be, we have a whole marketing company that pairs well with what we do. So yeah, it is crazy, but it's really just being consistent. So when you started the page, how did you keep going? Because it took a long time to like, I mean, you grew pretty quick, but like
passion, man.
It's a lot. Yeah. It's a lot to like go out there. And then your wife's probably like looking at you like, you really have to go take pictures of all this? Like I'm trying to eat. She's like reaching in there. You're like, no, don't reach in there.
Wait.
Yeah. She's used to it now, but like at first it's like, it's annoying. And Marissa felt the same way.
Yeah. At first, because she was kind of wondering, she was like, well, why are you always just taking these photos and like, what do you expect in the long run? I'm like, I don't know. It's like supporting the local businesses, like the mom and pops. Like if I think of anything I've celebrated in life that has meant something, it's been at one of these mom or pops, whether it's an anniversary, proposal, like, I don't know, that's just who St. Louis is. And so it's kind of funny because now she when we talk, like it's just crazy now, like all the things we get to do. But man, I'm not gonna lie, I forgot what was.
I said how was it when you started? So like when you started, like it was on 413 day. Or 413. That's not a day, but it's just 413.
Hey, 413 day. I don't know, man. Hey, I said 310. Like
310. So on that day, like you started, like what did you do? What was the first thing you did?
Google.
Yeah.
I went on Google, I went on YouTube, and I was like, okay, how to grow this brand? And so I was looking up like hashtags and hashtag STL, hashtag St. Louis. And one of the biggest things that drove me to try to be different and just be myself and tell my own experience was like, you were talking about those other publications. And I felt like, I think at that time when I had my account, there was probably like between 7 to 10 foodie accounts. And I felt like I was always seeing the same places or the same kind of restaurants. but I wasn't seeing people going into like places on Cherokee Street, or maybe they go to the two like popular places, but they weren't going to that small hole
Place
in
with
the
like
wall.
Sharpie on the
Yeah.
whiteboard, like the authentic
Bro, and
places.
hey,
Yeah.
those are the places that have the most fire food, because like,
Told me, and I went to one on Cinco de Mayo. I was like, oh, they got Sharpie on there.
was it the place
It was
Pandaria?
it was next to it was like right there in that corner. Yeah, where they have like the street blocked off. They have like a little party
Yeah,
outside. Yeah,
it was probably the best.
dude. But he had like a whole spindle out, like cutting pork, like all crazy.
Bro, that's like, that stuff is passed down for like generations,
Yeah.
and you think about a lot of restaurants, they have a lot of turnover, different chefs coming in and out. Kids will just work there for the summer and then they leave. But those mom and pops, like especially the Sharpie marker kind of places, like, bro, they know their stuff. They know their clientele. But yeah, man, to grow, I was like looking up hashtags. I was doing a lot of stuff on Google, YouTube, to try to figure out like, how do I grow this organically? And so I have a formula. I won't really share too much of it, but it's really like, you look at the bigger places in town and you look at the smaller places, right? It's not going to a chain restaurant. You look at some of the bigger names we know. You look at some of the small names. You think about when you go to a concert, right? You have the main act and then you have the openers, right? And for those openers to get discovered and grow their fan base, they open for that artist. I was just at like a Kenny Chesney. I was out here country boy Braden, what I mean, at this Kenny Chesney concert, and I didn't know the openers. I heard they're popular, but like I didn't know the openers, but
Now
I
you
got
do.
to see them,
Yeah.
And so whenever I have like content, or whenever I was posting, I was going bigger place, smaller place, bigger place, smaller place. And so like, even when I do like the Cherokee Street series, the Toasted Ravioli series, it goes big name. Maybe I do one or two big names, and then I go small name, because I'm trying to like help draw people in with the things they're comfortable with, the things they know about. And then I go small to try to get them that exposure. So, hey, if you like toasted ravioli at this place and that place, try from the small place.
Right.
But yeah, during that time, I was just literally looking up hashtags, following people. And then I'm not gonna lie, it felt weird at first, because I was never one to follow like normal people.
Mhm.
Like I was following like, favorite athletes, celebrities, like looking at things in other cities. And then I was like, you know what? If people are going to use a hashtag, they're doing that to connect with other people. If they're tagging a place, they're doing that to connect with other people.
Mhm.
And so I just kept doing that. And then I started to notice like, they were sharing my photos on their pages, and then people were following. And I was like, oh, let me just keep that up. And in 2020, I wasn't traveling, so I had more money to spend locally. And I would say like that year really taught me to like vacation in my own city. Because like you go to a different city, you go to Chicago, you look at all these buildings, you're like, oh man, this is awesome. This is beautiful. But then like I'll never forget walking on a Sunday down like Wash Ave and not seeing a person, and just looking at all the buildings. I'm like, man, this is cool. Oh, that's awesome. I've never noticed that, And then even like walking in the zoo, like for weeks, it would be like 15 to 30 minutes before I see a person. And so like, that was crazy. And so it like even taught me to look at the zoo differently. Even with like my niece, like she'll point out like, oh, elephant. I'm like, there's no elephant here. But then there's like an elephant engraved in a building or something.
Yeah.
But I did that to grow it. And then I think like I started to get a lot more attention. I bought a shirt from Series 6. I was like a big fan of theirs before I became BradENSTL, and I've worked with them. But I had a shirt of theirs, and I'm like, oh, this is cool. And I'm like, 9 Mile Garden is new. I'm like, let me see how that goes. So I like posted a photo in a Series 6 shirt, and 9 Mile Garden was the new hot thing. And so, which is an awesome place with all the food trucks. And so then they shared it, 9 Mile shared it, and that like really started to get a lot of attention. And it taught me more to like, okay, like how to maneuver, like you've learned like kind of like how to maneuver things, because it helps sell that shirt, And I've worked with Series 6 a lot since then. They're an awesome company. Sammy's awesome. But yeah, like just more and more exposure.
And it's cool when that happens. Like I remember the first time like I like went to a restaurant and took pictures and they shared it. Like I was like, oh man, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Because like you think of these restaurants as like bigger, but they're just normal people.
Yeah.
They're just a normal person, just like somebody in your family. But when they share it, especially like a big account, like a big restaurant like Sugar Fire that has like all these followers and they're like, they have all these locations, and it's like, oh, they shared the stuff because like they're just a normal person, and the person that runs their social media is a colleague that just like us. So it's all the same. And that's what's so important about it, because like I notice like, and I don't notice because it's hard to tell the impact of it until you're out in public and you hear, or like when I make a post, like, okay, so somebody invites me to a restaurant, they provide a complimentary meal in exchange for a post,
Yep.
and I make that post and it gets 1,000 likes and then it gets 100 follows for that new business.
Mm-hmm.
Even if just 10% of those people became customers, that's, 10 new customers that they got just from one meal that they supplied. That meal, now granted, sometimes I feel bad about those free meals. I'm like, I really want to pay for stuff. And I do pay for stuff a lot. Like we do, most of the stuff we do, but it's just like, I know the value of that post. So they know the value. They obviously see the exchange. And then I see people like message us, oh my gosh, like me and I took my girlfriend on her first date to a picnic in Forest Park because like you proposed there. Like they know that I proposed, like they know that's a special park for us. So like stuff like that, but people don't message. There's still there's probably 10,000 people on there that do stuff because of it that I don't even know about.
Mm-hmm.
But knowing that in the back of my head, and I tell this to Marissa all the time, like it's important that I get this content up, that it looks good.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to make a lot more of our own content now. If you've noticed, like a lot more of the foodie stuff is more of our own stuff. Just because we see the value in going to that restaurant and actually tasting it before we post it.
Mm-hmm.
Because we share stuff that we've never been to all the time, just because we can't go to every restaurant. It's impossible. It's impossible. So, well, let's go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Well, I was just gonna say, and plus, like, at least you can taste it. So if it's something you don't like, you're not gonna post it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like a lot of people probably think, you're making millions of dollars off STL Bucket List, but it's like us creators, like we pay for I still pay for between 80 to 90% of the food I post. Mm-hmm. And the food that I do pay for comes from like a lot of paid partnerships that I have. So like anytime you see hashtag ad or hashtag sponsored, like those companies believe in us to help advertise their product, but like that money that we get from them helps us go back in like St. Louis and like support, the little mom and pops to help us keep, creating content and stuff. So it's like, just so people know out there, like we don't make millions of dollars off this. Yeah. Actually, I think BradENSTL LLC operates at a loss.
I do. Yeah, I think STL Bucket List it operated at a loss. Now we start to make a little bit of money on some stuff nowadays, but for like the first year and a half, it was spending money.
Yeah, and
it was going out. But it was like, if we're gonna go out here and spend this money, like you said one time, like why don't I just document it? You just never know how powerful that is. And it's nice going somewhere and just in unplugging and just having a good time. But at the same time, it's like if I just document this, like how many hundreds of people can see this and like actually get influenced by it? And like you even seen, like I seen somebody post like a lot of times like, oh, I'm coming here because Braden sent me here. Like that stuff feels good. And then you can tell that to the business, and the businesses see value in it. If I have $1,000 a month to spend in marketing, I'm probably going to spend half of that with influencers. And then the other half maybe with Facebook ads or Google ads or maybe a Yelp ad or something along those lines to turn it on to new people. So I wanted to seg that way into food. So let's talk about some food.
Yeah.
Let's start with your ideal day in St. Louis. So you wake up, you ain't got shit to do.
All right.
You ain't got nothing to do. It's a Saturday. You got a couple $100 in your pocket. You're going to breakfast first. You're going to grab coffee. Then you go to lunch. What are you doing? So.
All right. So we got a beautiful day. So Northwest Coffee, they open up at 7 a.m. So I'm going to go there. I'm going to hit the zoo because if you're going to go there, you got to go when it opens. Like if you go there Saturday after 10, 12, whatever, like my wife and I joke about it, like, oh yeah, they're not from the city. Like us city folks, like we know how to navigate through it. And so like, yeah, I'll get to the zoo. I'll stay there for about an hour and a half, just go on a casual walk, probably listen to some Motown or something. If this isn't like an ideal day, I'll probably continue a walk around Forest Park, listening to music, listening to a podcast. And then, Botanical Gardens, they're free from 9 to 11. So, hey, I'm out here with that free stuff. Like I pay tax. Actually, it's not free. I pay taxes to this.
Yeah, that
like,
1%.
Hey, that 1%, man. Hey, I'm trying to get my money's worth.
It adds up.
Yeah. So, I'll probably go to Botanical Gardens for a little bit. And I would say, it's kind of funny. Like I've been working from home for years, and I started to pick up walking because I'm like, man, I'm sitting so much. And like, yeah, I'd go for runs and stuff. But like during COVID, it like made me see things differently. Like going on walks, taking time to like actually enjoy the ripples in the water. Like I know it sounds goofy, but like, and we've joked about those Friday morning, Forest Park walks. Like I do it every Friday with my buddies because like we all have busy lives. But you know what? That Friday at we make weird times like 6:12 a.m. Like we're getting together, we're catching up on life. But then like even after that, sometimes I'll like chill there for a little bit, kind of like take some deep breaths and like just focus on my mental health. But yeah, I'll go to Botanical Gardens. After that, we're looking at lunchtime, right? If my wife is with me, we'll probably go to like Russell's or actually we go to Russell's or the City Foundry, you know? And then we probably chill for a little bit. You know, you gotta. I'm 30, man. I gotta like take like I gotta chill for like at least an hour
After you eat.
Yeah, and I'm chilling on the couch, probably throwing like Sports Center or YouTube or something, and I'm like editing a video. Like that's how I usually do it. Like I don't set aside time to like edit. I'm doing it like while I'm chilling, and then and I also do that on my phone. Like I can't do it. Like Adobe Premiere Pro is so impressive.
Yeah,
I don't have time to learn that. So like there's all these apps you can do on your phone.
Yeah, I do a lot of stuff on my phone too, for sure.
We have the technology, so
right.
All right, so actually, okay, lunchtime.
You can give a couple spots. Like you said, Russell's, City Foundry, obviously there's 10, 20 spots that you can hit up over there. And that's good for your wife because you're like, I want this, I want that.
Hey, you already know that, man. Like that's how it is. Like I have my day, like what I would do, but then also being married, you know, it's like my wife and I, we can go to City Foundry, we'll go to 2 different spots, we meet in the middle and we're
that's
happy.
Smart. I need to do that more. I need to do that more because that's the hardest conversation of the night. Where we eating? Well, I want Chinese. And she's like, oh, I kind of want pizza. And I was like,
City Foundry.
Yeah.
Just hit it up.
But if you want to order it, like if we're just sitting at the crib, it's like, oh, well, I guess we could order it both. But that's not really like financially responsible, but whatever.
Yeah. Hey, pick it up. Avoid the delivery fee. I'm out here to save people money, man. It's an expensive world. Yeah. So we'll either do City Foundry or Russell's. We love Russell's. Like, I mean, we've celebrated anniversaries there, birthdays, and like it's my favorite overall restaurant because you can go there for breakfast, lunch, dinner, brunch also. You can go there just for coffee. Best, like, or sorry, I said best. My favorite gooey butter cake, because if you say something's the best, I know how people are.
Yeah. And you could just pick up a gooey butter cake and go take it to like your mom's birthday or whatever it might be. Like it doesn't matter. And like we're within walking distance of Russell's, so we walk up there on Saturdays, go get Rudy's Flowers, and then we get breakfast. And their brunch is so good, the cinnamon roll. Like I'm thinking, we didn't bring the cinnamon roll out here. So Russell's, if you guys want to send us some cinnamon rolls, I got you.
Or gooey butter cake.
Or gooey butter cake too. But my honeymoon's coming up, so
trying to show an ad, you know.
Right.
Hey. But yeah, like I mean, gooey butter cake, cinnamon, turtle, chocolate chip flavored, lemon. Like I don't even like lemon, except for like, you know, maybe in some tea or something. But like their lemon gooey butter cake is so good. And it's in like shortbread crust. Yeah, brunch food's good, dinner. So that's like my favorite all around. But yeah, after we eat lunch, I'd probably chill for a little bit. And then, you know, let's say for like nighttime for dinner, I'd go to Adara. Like in the summer, because like you've been there, right?
Courtyard,
That courtyard, that vibe, it literally feels like you're in Chicago, New York. It's
because that big building sits up over the right side, and they have that outdoor bar. So when you're looking at the Ivy, and then there's that really tall building. I forgot what building it is, but it looks like you're in like a sky, like it's like you're in a different city, you're in Italy or whatever.
Yeah,
You're transforming, and I felt that way too, and I feel like that's why the food is elevated. It's like it has to be
that ambiance
to fit that vibe. But yeah, that's a good spot.
They have like a DJ and stuff. Like
the nighttime.
Yeah, and it's like when I was younger, you know, we'd hit like clubs and you know, go to Spruce Street, do all that and stuff, or Bar 360. But I think that'd be like my ideal day, you know, just reflect, like taking a look, enjoying. Actually, I'd throw a rooftop in there. Maybe after Adara, we'd hit a Bar 360. Okay. And enjoy that downtown.
Yeah, it's so hard because you have to break it up into neighborhoods because you're like, okay, well, if I'm hanging out like near home, then I'm going to go to Russell's. But if I'm like, okay, if I'm already downtown, like, you know, maybe I'll go to, you know, Lafayette Square and I'll hit up Bendeset or like Bendeset's a good rooftop that I like to go to. Or if we're in the Grove, it's like, okay, well, let's get like Grace Meat and 3. But then after that, let's like walk down the street and get a slushie from Chops or whatever it might be. We like as big as the city is, it's very small. But at the same time, when we're in a neighborhood, we kind of like to stay in that neighborhood. We're not driving all over the city. And a lot of times I need to head out more towards Maplewood and like, you know, Clayton a little bit more, but I just don't head that way unless I'm going to see family.
Yeah. Dude, I get so much crap from my buddies. They're like, man, you're more than likely to go to Vegas than North County. And I'm like, man, I got to go to the airport. You know, that's in North County, but like, I'm just, like, I'm never really out there. You know what I mean? I have like a buddy that lives there and I'll go visit him, but I will say I will make an effort to go visit North County a little bit more.
Yeah, I haven't highlighted much stuff out there, so I will as well. So that's a good idea. It's like, and that's staying diverse in your neighborhoods because there's a lot of people that probably follow us that live out there. So we're kind of like doing a disservice because it's a far drive, fortunately for the city. It's a 30-minute drive.
Yeah.
Especially if you're all the way up in Hazelwood. So, dude, that's dope. I mean, that's a good day in St. Louis. I mean, there's so many different days. That's why it's such a hard question. And I ask people that have families that too. It's like, okay, well, is it family oriented? Is the kids off school or the kids got a sitter? It's everything changes. So, what's your favorite place to take your niece? Because I see that you play a big role in her life. So I know your days change when you're with her because she's got you doing some crazy shit.
Dude, hey, it's so much fun, man. I love being an uncle because like I think for so long I was just down the corporate, like, I got to get this promotion and stuff in the future, whatever. And then I have my niece and I'm like, you realize what's important. I'm like, oh, I don't really care about that. Like when I'm with her, like, and that's another reason for a lot of people that send me DMs and emails. I do fall behind at times just because like when I'm around people, because I couldn't do that we couldn't do that 2 years ago. I'm 100% in. When I go to an event, yeah, I may record just for like a few minutes, but then I'm like, my phone's away. Like I want to be in that moment.
Right.
So we couldn't do that. But yeah, like when I'm with my niece, I love hanging out with her. I'm actually gonna pick her up today, and we're having a sleepover. Like my wife and I, we'll plan some activities. We'll probably have like a Disney sing along. Like we be singing everything, man. I like. She tells me exactly what she wants to hear. She's like, I think I said Ariel. She's like, no, it's Ariel.
Yeah.
And she'll correct me,
you out.
bro. She'll tell me like she's a little over 3, I guess about almost 3.5. She'll tell me like, oh, I want Ariel. I want Miguel. I want Elsa. I want like all this and that. So like just hanging out with her is so much fun. But if I were to take her to a place, like I think the Magic House is great. Mm-hmm. But once again, I could care less about crowds. So I would not go there on a Saturday or Sunday. Like if I could take like a half day off work or just take some time off, like I'd go early in the morning. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's because I'm getting older, but I'm just like, why?
It sounds like it, man.
I think so, but it's just like, I've done the crowds, man. I've done waiting for food trucks, waiting 45 minutes in a line and then waiting 30 minutes. Like, I'm just like, I know how to navigate through the city. Mm-hmm. But yeah, but I do think the Magic House is awesome, but realistically, I think it's the zoo. Like,
it's always the zoo.
Like the zoo is like,
it's so special.
Like people just don't people just don't understand. Like I have like coworkers and we'd get off like an hour on some Fridays. We get off an hour early for like a 5K Friday. And they're like, oh, where are you going for a walk this week? I'm like, just probably around the zoo. Like sometimes I'll look at 2 animals and they don't understand. They're like, well, you're at the zoo. Why don't you look at them all? I'm like, I pay taxes for this, man. I'm going to go see what the lion's up to. Cause that's like my favorite thing, like
lion cages.
The lions, maybe you got some elephants doing tricks. Right. One time I went there in October and there were some kangaroos fighting. Like, I don't know. I like how random it is.
I need to start doing that more because like you said, like a mental health break, like just going by yourself.
Yeah.
Like and just walking in there. I mean, it's free, just walk in there and just like do your walk in there instead of around the neighborhood. And like the funny thing is I was at Onesto the other day. I called you. You had
shout out to Onestos.
Yeah, shout out to Onesto. I was there with my family celebrating my mom's birthday. And we always go to Onesto because my sister used to work there. My sister's my neighbor. Shout out South City. Hey. So basically, we were sitting there. You had your headphones in. You were walking down the street. It was like a Sunday night. And I was like, Braden. And I was trying to explain to my dad how I knew you. And I'm like, oh, he's just like one of those like online guys.
Yeah.
And my dad has he follows one person on Instagram and it's STL Bucket List. Like it's Barb and Kin, that's their name. And they just have an egg. It's the egg photo. They just finally made an Instagram. They don't have Facebook. So I'm just like, it's one of those guys that like does Instagram. But we were like trying to call you. I took a picture of you. I forgot to send it because I was in the moment with my family. I just hurried up, took a picture, never sent it to you because you were just walking down the street. You were power walking. But you walked right past us because like, and I've seen you another time, like just driving my moped, or you were with your wife.
I was with my wife.
I was dropping off T-shirts because I used to, when I sold a T-shirt, I was trying to save money on shipping. I'm like, oh, they're only like 5 blocks away. I'm gonna go drive this and knock on their door and give it to them. And that touch point of like, thank you for buying this shirt. Like, even though I made only $7 off that shirt, the fact that you trusted our brand enough to actually give us money is crazy. And now let's talk about some sponsorships and some corporate sponsorships because I need to get some advice on how you navigate these sponsorship deals. We get a lot of inquiries and I feel like people don't see the value in our brand being as big as it is. I feel like we're underselling some of our deals that we do.
Yep.
But also at the same time, like I care so much about integrity to the people that follow us that I feel like I should take on stuff that's even something that's not perfect for our brand. Not perfect for our brand, but like maybe not financially. Oh, like they just threw us free dinner. Like, should I post them? But yeah, like I feel like we should get paid. But at the end of the day, it's like these restaurants need the help. So like we're gonna help them. But tell us how you navigate those deals. I know you've worked with emos, some alcohol brands and stuff like that. So just tell us about that process.
Yeah. So I think this could actually help a lot of creators. It's all about value. What value do they like? Why should you advertise this product or advertise that? Does that align with your brand? Does that fit with your brand? Like one time a swimming trunk company or swimsuit company reached out to me. I'm like, bruh, like I lost my abs like 3 years ago. Like I ate too much pizza in 2020. So that's not going to work. But yeah, like, so, and kind of go back to, I think it was 2020. I took an influencer marketing course through like Coursera because I was like, I like to learn the business that I'm in. That's part of the reason I'm working on my MBA. Never had straight A's in my life, but I have it here, you know. And I'm one of those people like, you can learn anything on Google and YouTube, but I understand the society that we work in or that we live in, and I understand how like Missouri thinks. So a lot of people want to see those credentials, and so it's actually made a world of difference being able to speak their language when you're reaching out to corporations. Because on the creative side, I'm like, look, I know what I need to show you because I know this stuff works. But the corporate mindset, they want to see things a certain way, and so that's where it has helped me. But yeah, it's really that exchange in value, right? A lot of companies will pay thousands of dollars for a commercial. If you ever watch TV, you're watching I don't know, Cardinals game. When are you going to the bathroom? During a commercial, right? But they still think that's the way, that traditional way, that traditional marketing. And then you have, you know, they pay a lot for radios, you know, radio ads. Well, when are you changing the station if you even listen to radios? During that, right? But people are coming to STL Bucket List to, like, you are like a newspaper. Mm-hmm. When you pick up a paper, you know, whether it's one of the local publications, are you even really looking at that ad unless you know the name? Mm-hmm. Probably not.
Yeah.
But people are coming to STL Bucket List every single day. They're coming to BradENSTL every single day to see what I'm doing, you know? And sometimes you have some brands that are trying to push you to say things that you're like, man, my people know this is an ad, you know? Let me add my creative touch. But it's the thing I would tell a lot of creators is like, when you go to a Cardinals game, what does Ford have anything to do with a baseball game? I mean, maybe they drive it around on opening day, and maybe if like someone got inducted.
It's like on the bottom of like the commercial break. It's like presented by Ford or whatever. Yeah, it's all it is. Yeah.
Right. What does, you know, you see like, I don't know, Hardee's, you have Stiefel, you had Edward Jones, and I just took a photo with some family the other day. I went to the game, and Edward Jones is in the photo. I'm like, dang, we need to go from this angle so we get the field. But it's like they have nothing to do with it, but they sponsor the team so the team can be, you know, look fresh, so our stadium can look fresh. And so by having those sponsors, you know, people sponsoring me, whether it's like Schnucks, Emos, Noble Oak, like whoever, that allows me to do so much more. Like, you know, you see presented by, you know, you open up the catalog at the Fox Theater, you open up at the Muni, and you're like, oh, what, this nursing home, you know, this place, that place, like they don't really have anything to do with that, but they're advertising in it. And so it's just like, just that advertising.
Yeah, people have the budget, and a lot, like I said, a lot of people are shifting their budget to digital. We've had a couple corporate companies, and I won't speak on them on the podcast, but like a couple people reach out to us for like a full corporate sponsorship. And a lot of that things is like, we have to be really careful about what we do, because once we sign that deal that's 12 months long, our content changes. And that's the one thing it won't happen with us, is like our content's not going to change. I'm still going to post the stuff I want to post. I'm still going to put the songs that I want to play behind the reels that I want to do, like stuff like that. Like, we're still going to have the podcast, and we're going to have real raw conversations. There's nothing in St. Louis like me and you are having where it's an hour straight conversation of a real conversation without interruptions, without commercials, without distractions. Like, this is just a straight on conversation. We want to keep it that way. Now, if they want to, you know, set something on the table and pay me a little money, then I'll take it. But like you were saying, like, I want to keep the authentic brand. I feel like that's the ultimate value exchange is, how can I, even when somebody pays us money to make a post, how do I make that post and not make it look like I was paid to do it? And a lot of that stuff, like, and I know you're supposed to put ad and sponsored and stuff, but like, I feel like sometimes it's like, it just depends, I guess, on what their contract says and stuff like that.
If it's your language and your full creativity, it's like, oh, okay, well, I feel comfortable posting this. But if you're like, hey, make sure to check out this and blah, 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 blah.
If it's a copy and paste from an email that they sent, like, we want these bullet points in there, then you just copy and paste it and put it in there and stuff like that. So, but I just seen the one you did with Emos, and it was dope, because like it was a commercial. It was a mini commercial, and it was an ad. Like, that video, I don't know how many views it got, but like, we had a video that got 50,000 views. That would have costed thousands of dollars on Facebook ads to post that. So why wouldn't that business pay us $1,000? Because that money's going to go longer on digital, and it's there. And then you can, you know, so we're trying to navigate that, and we're trying to look at organizations that are big in St. Louis, like the Parinas, like the Edward Jones, like the Tums, like the Brown and Krupins, like all these big companies that advertise all over the city. How can we provide value with them, but also stay on brand with us? Whether that be like a Ford giving us a truck to drive around while we go to eat food all summer long, and they paid us money. Like, that would be an organic ad. We could create content with it, and we have videographers that can create elevated content. So, yeah, man, the future looks bright for sure. I mean, it's hard to like wrap my head around the fact that I work for myself completely. Now I do have the marketing company, but I'm starting to figure out that STL Bucket List could be its own company. It is its own company, but it could be a full-time job, which is crazy. Yeah, it's just crazy. So tell me about that, because we've had conversations of you just being in the corporate world. I mean, what's your goal in 5 years? I mean, where do you see yourself at?
So, that's a good question. I enjoy the place that pays the bills, but my mind is like, I think I have such a love and passion for what I'm doing. I think like a lot of people can see that, and I have this dream of like all this content and stuff I want to put out, and it's not even like about me. Like, I used to not really show my face on my account, but I realized like, look, we want to connect with people and not just a picture of a food.
Same. I didn't for the longest, and then I started doing it, and people really started like liking it more. Because now it's more real, because it's me and Marissa or whatever it might be. So, and
they kind of like they know like, okay, maybe he was on a date here, or he's by himself, because we don't always eat with our wives, Right. But 5 years from now, we're building something. I think by the time this is going to get released, I think like June 29th. On July 4th, we're launching STL Food Vlog. And so that's been in the works since I started my account, right?
So that's coming out next week after this episode. Let's get it.
So this is going to be more YouTube-based, right? I feel like for BradENSTL, and we'll also have content on like on Instagram.
It'll be
TikTok.
Repurposed for,
Yeah, but this will be a lot bigger. I can't really get into too much detail.
Like you said, this isn't going to drop till July.
July 4th. Yeah. But I can't even get into, like, I have so many things
to work out in that meantime.
Yeah, that things are actually going to happen, but it's also like, I want people to see it instead of just telling them, and they're like, okay, they report back to their place here in St. Louis, and they're like, hey, we got to run with this. We need the studio to do that. So I want people in St. Louis to see it, experience it. But it's something that our city has needed for so long, that the YouTube page is going to be devoted to just everything St. Louis, and it's going to be broken out like a Disney Plus. Like you heard me kind of mention it a little bit ago, but I've been working towards that, right? And so like I know, like if I'm creating content around town, a lot of it's casual, and so like I'll take my phone out, make sure it looks crystal clear, and I record and I make a reel. This is going to be more higher quality content. It's going to provide that value, because I don't even know how to watch basic TV nowadays. You know what I mean? Like last night we had like tornadoes and stuff. So I got on YouTube and you could actually stream it. I was like, oh snap. Like that's cool. But like, there's so many different things that like us St. Louis city folks just know how to do, know how to maneuver, know how to like have such a great time that I'm going to open up and share. I may not share all of it, because like, if I'm going to the zoo at like 8 o'clock on a Saturday and everyone's there now, everyone's going to go. But like that's going to be that's my baby. I'm going to grow that. I'm going to continue to create a lot of content. I want to continue to inspire creatives to just live their dream, create that content. Cause I know what the corporate world's like. And that's why like when we first met, I'm like hyping you up. I'm like, dude, that's a great idea, but I want to keep like encouraging people to create St. Louis content, because they don't realize that people from all over, I've connected with people from all over the world through Instagram. It's crazy. Like in 2020, I was talking to someone in the United Kingdom about what was going on there. And we were talking, and we just like connected through food.
Right.
I'll never run out of content. Like we have so many great restaurants, places I need to go back a second, third time. But 5 years from now, the STL food vlog it'll be huge. I really believe in that, because we don't have anything like that here in St. Louis. It's going to be all St. Louis based. It's going to have something for, what can kids do in the city? And maybe I walk around with Bella. Maybe Bella and I will have a food review series. I don't know.
Right.
I'm so excited for that project.
So that project, and we don't have to like get too in depth with it, but like that's going to involve, a little bit more funding to where you have to produce these projects, and you're going to need to, get behind the scenes of these restaurants, get in back with the chefs and stuff like that. And that's what I love about the podcast form is now, given we're not at the business with the restaurant, but like we had Kevin Limp on here a few weeks ago, and he was just talking about his creative process that goes into Four Hands and 1220 Spirits and Withered Oak. And like, he was just telling us, like these stories need to be told. So we have a project that's going to be coming out about the same time as you, where we're going to tell stories of people. and go beyond the podcast and go to these people's neighborhoods
Yep.
and tell these stories, you know, and get into whether it be an artist that's from Wellston that is coming up, like, you know, a Kababi or somebody that's done work all over the city, but like we'll go to your hometown and we're going to record it in your house that you grew up in, or whatever it might be, like something dope like that. Because I like the people. I think, like you said, people resonate with people. You know, and people are influenced by people. It's hard to get influenced by one of these publications because you just don't know who's advertising it or who paid them to say that, you know, or something along those lines. So, yeah, man, people. I love people, and that's why I love the podcast. It's just so much fun to be able to actually hear these stories and have an hour of uninterrupted time. LeBron says it. One of my like favorite athletes too is like that uninterrupted. That's his brand.
The GOAT.
Yeah, the GOAT. Yes, yes, sir. But yeah, just LeBron and just what he's done with his brands and building media companies. Like Tom Brady's building a media company. These athletes, Tom Brady's going to make more in media when he retires than he made playing for 23 years because the power of people. Like, I don't play football. I'm good at football, like whatever. I don't play football, but I like listening about it. I like watching it. I like basketball. Like you said, I'm not going to the NBA, but I'm still going to watch the finals and watch Luka play tonight because Luka's a fucking dog.
Yeah, he has. Yeah, it's gonna be rough.
I'm still going to watch him tonight though because like I watch the athletes. That's why I like LeBron because I was not really a Cavs fan, but I liked watching LeBron. And then when I really liked him is like when he went back to Cleveland, and I was like, dude, this guy's the best ever. Like when he was in those finals runs, I'm like, this guy's the best ever. But now he's building a media company because in a couple years he's not gonna be able to do it anymore. Yeah, he's just not.
Maybe
I don't know.
He may hold on to, like, who knows, man? How the heck? He almost won the league. What is it, the league scoring
title? He was like 0.1 off or something.
No, he like played a few games.
Oh, he didn't have enough minutes. He didn't have enough games played.
I'm like,
he sat out.
Like he's old.
Yeah, he's old.
Like, but you said influence, right? It made me think of influencer. So you're technically in society, you're an influencer, right? And it's funny to me, like people will be like, Brad, you're such an influencer. And I'm like, that was like the hardest thing for me to even like rationalize, because like I've been to Vegas, gone to like the pool parties, and you see the area of influencers, and I'm like, bro, that looks weird.
They're clowns. They're selfie sticks and stuff like that.
And I'm like, bro, I'm not that person. I'm like, I live in a really cool city. I'm trying to like hype it up and let other people see it from like my point of view. Like I know St. Louis has a lot of problems, you know, those potholes.
They've been fixing some in my neighborhood at least.
Bro, I've seen.
They're working their way down Kings Highway. You'll get there. It'll get there.
Dude, they're like the pooper scoopers you see at a parade, right? Yeah. You know how they walk behind with a shovel and they pick it up, except for now they're dumping stuff in like
black asphalt into
like we have like sinkholes in this city, man. Yeah. Like it almost looks like, but like we have other issues. We have crime, and it's like I see myself more as a digital content creator than influencer. I think in society they say I'm an influencer, but I'm like, we live in a cool city. Like the songs I choose, it was funny because I think in 2020, whenever I was posting, I would reference a song, like this song came to mind while I was eating this food, and then reels became a thing. And I'm like, let me create some reels
with the song.
Yeah. So I stopped referencing those songs, and it's like the song that I always choose just like fits the vibe that I felt that day. And like St. Louis is a great city. So I'm not really an influencer. I'm more of a digital content creator and St. Louis connoisseur, I would say. Like I love our city. Yeah. And I just like, we were talking about like coastal cities. Like you see what happens in other places, and then you're like, man, why don't we have that here? And then you realize it's up to you to bring it, and that's why like I think we got together like last July or last August, and I'm like, I believe in what you're doing. I love how it's independent. You're going to get to a point where someone's going to offer you a lot of money to take it out of being independent. But it's like right now, like your account, like, yeah, you go to some big names just like I do. Then you go to some smaller names, and you're giving them that exposure. And so like, I mean, just keep it up. Keep it up.
And I said this with Dante. I was like, if not us, then who? If not now, then when? So it's like, I say that in my business life. It's like, if not us, who's going to do it? Yeah. Who's going to do it? We have to do it. And people are going to set the trend. And you set a trend when it came to those reels. So tell me about like that process, because the video content used to be pretty obsolete on Instagram. Like we used to post like the long form videos and they did pretty good, but they never got that much engagement. And these reels came out and you started doing these tall videos, and it just makes sense because the video of the iPhone's tall and it takes up the whole screen. That's why I feel like they do so well. Yeah. Is because they take up the whole screen.
Well, right now on Instagram, they're changing it so it's no longer just like a box. It's no longer a box. It's going to now be long-tailed. It may have changed already.
Yeah.
So it goes back to that long-tailed plan of STL food vlog that's launching on July 4th. So I would create like vlogs, right? I would go to a place. This was during COVID, so I'd get the
You
food
did a
for-
long one because you sent me one time before we met, and I was like, bro, this is 7 minutes. This ain't even gonna download onto my phone. It took like 10 minutes, and then it
Dude.
failed, and then I couldn't even get it transferred to my phone.
Too long, man. Yeah, and it's funny because at that time though, people had time to watch a 5 to 7 minute video, and like that was like my way of introducing people to going back out to eat. So I'd show the restaurant, hey, this is what it looks like, because we were still on takeout time. We're still doing takeout at that time, and so I was creating these long vlogs. I'd go home and I eat the food, and then I'm like, this is a lot, man. Adobe Premiere Pro, that thing's a beast. You can do anything and everything with it. And then I think my first video was in front of Ted Drew's the week before they opened back up in 2020, and then it was like the MLS soccer team had some kind of campaign, and I'm like, oh, I'll do that. So that's like one of my first videos, and then I went to Eckert's, and I really got into mini vlogs because I'm like, I want to do food reviews. After seeing what Dave Portnoy was doing with the pizza, and I'm like, but I don't want to do pizza. I want to do toasted ravioli. I'm like, how am I going to do this? And I met with Dante, and Dante was kind of telling me at that time, like, hey, these mini vlogs, like that's what people are getting into.
The shorts.
Shorter
content.
Yeah, shorter content. And so I always still try to be myself when I make this content, because I still like showing what the business looks like. I can show you a dish, but like our generation, we want an ambiance, we want an experience. So if it's a cool place like a Dara, or a place with a cool patio, like I want to include that.
And it has to be quick because people get distracted or they swipe up real quick. If it doesn't pop right at the beginning, so you probably learn like different tips. But like I've got to the point with music, it's like I don't care if it's a trending sound. I just want to play a song that I like.
That you like, that fits you.
And that's what I've been playing lately.
Yeah.
It's just like, I like this song. Like this Mac Miller song at Tower Grove Park. Like, it sounds dope. And I was like, this is dope. And it's like, it's a good video. But yeah, man, it's just and we do them a lot, but I'm kind of getting more back to that higher quality photography. So one thing that Caden and I have been doing is like going to these restaurants that we work with and taking high quality pictures. Now we use that for business, but at the end of the day, it's like, what if we had a budget each month to go do these features like Sauce Magazine does and like get this food? Like that's a possibility.
For the small place that like will never, like you would,
like if we were funded by another person, like, hey, we have $1,500 sponsorship each month that we can fund you to highlight small businesses, and like then we could use that to pay Caden to take photos, and then we could highlight on a higher scale. And it doesn't have to be a magazine. Like I pick up those magazines a lot, but like not many people do. Yeah, I mean they probably do, but like we pick them up because we're interested in it. But like if you're not interested in the magazine, you're not going to pick it up. But everybody's going to pick up their phone. 4 to 5 hours a day.
How many times have you picked up that magazine and you're like, okay, I can't wait to read this, and then you just got busy and it just sat there?
We have all of them. I love them because we have all of them in our house, like on our bookshelf, and we read them because it gives me content ideas. Yeah. But at the end of the day, it's like those businesses are paying a lot of money to be in there, so they also should get some social traffic too. So like, how are these businesses going to use their marketing budget? They say people should spend 7% of their revenue on marketing. So if you make $100,000 a month, you should spend $7,000 a month on marketing. Not everybody does that, but that's a good average thing to spend. So it's like, okay, if I got 7,000, let me spend 2,000 in print, let me spend 3,000 in Facebook ads, and then now I have 2,000 left. Let me pay 10 people $100. Let me pay 10 people $200 to go on social media. So let's talk about some other people in St. Louis. So do you have somebody that inspired you to start with your content journey? Or was it just out of, it was before COVID? You were already thinking about doing it, but you were thinking about doing it.
I was thinking about
COVID. And then you were going to drop it, but then you didn't. And then it completely shifted what you were doing because of COVID, because then you had to go to the curbside route.
So a lot of Gary Vaynerchuk, man, like he was... Because I was still kind of like in my head of like, man, I kind of feel weird doing this or that, and then I just realized I'm like, wait, as long as I'm being a nice person, I'm putting out positive stuff and being myself, like who cares what anyone else thinks? Like I love constructive criticism because it's like, because I know I'm not the best videographer out there, I know that, but I'm going to pump out so much content. Like there's some people that take weeks, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm here, put it out.
I do that too. I put it up the same night a lot of times.
You have to.
Because I'm like, I was there,
Yeah, or if you sit on it, it's going to sit for months.
Yeah, and then you forget about it, and then it gets lost in your camera roll.
Bro, and I have like 30,000 photos and like 10,000 little video clips.
Let's see. Let's pull it up. Let's do a photo check.
No, my phone's...
is it in the bag?
Yeah,
okay,
I looked it up last night because I was curious how I was going to repurpose a lot of that for TikTok.
iCloud packing up. They're charging you
man,
like $12.99 now a month, probably.
Dude, 2 tetrabytes is what I had to go up to, man.
Yeah.
But is it terabyte? Whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
I never had to know what that was until like a few months ago. But man, Gary V, just like his perspective on a lot of things. I mean,
he's been ahead of a lot of stuff. if you read his old books, like the Crush It book from, like,
I just finished that one.
Yeah, from 5 years ago, that applies more than ever now with personal branding.
Yeah.
I wish I would have had. He's like, make a Facebook fan page, like do all this stuff, and I'm like, damn, dude, that's so smart. But yeah, man, I mean, Gary Vee, yeah, I like listening to him. Some people don't like some of the stuff he says about education, and
I agree with
some of the way he curses. But like even like a guy locally that I listen to, Andy Frisella. He owns First Form and Supplement Superstores. Like, people don't like his views on politics, but like the dude's a savvy businessman, and he's created influencer marketing. He was sending products to people 10 years ago before sending products to influencers was a thing. Like, he was ahead of that curve, and he said he had Gary Vee on his podcast, and that's how he did it. So it's like how these connections, and now you go down to Busch Stadium, there's the big First Form thing. Like, they're a $400 million company. So it's like, Andy, we're going to get you on the podcast soon, my guy. Trust me.
Have to, man.
Trust me. That's going to be a special moment. But let's talk about some of the other foodies in St. Louis, because like when you started, like you said, there was like, there was some. So like, tell me a couple that you found right off the bat. And then now tell me some of your favorite, you don't have to like say favorites, but just tell me some of the people that you like enjoy their content now when it comes to food.
I'd say like when I started, I saw STL Foodies. I saw like Sauce Magazine.
Yeah. Yeah, Ashley does really good stuff. Ashley's killing it.
Yeah, like there was Sauce, and then there was Feast Magazine, and I don't know if the Riverfront Times really had much at that time, but like I would see them post, but like I said, and they do a great job. They cover great places to eat. I didn't see people go in the hood really that much, and so that was kind of like
no way.
Like that was like, so I would say like they inspired me to not just go check out those nice restaurants, but then I'm also like, man, I gotta show like Cherokee Street and some of my local favorites right now. I mean, man, there's so many like Orlando. He's doing a great job. I've gotten to know him a lot. And he's actually working with me on the STL food vlog.
Yeah, he crushes it.
Dude, he's awesome. Ace, Mary, Whitney, Lauren. I mean, just all of them. I mean, there's so many, and it's been really cool to see this community continue to grow. And it's like, I'm like, hell yeah. Like, let's start making more visual content, more videos, because it's not really just to fill my news feed with places that I need to go and I need to try, but it also, if you're using some of the right hashtags, people around the world is like, they're seeing that. And just as important as it is for, us to campaign to be in this, this magazine or that global magazine, we got to have people on social that's highlighting it. Like, this publication can do all that they can do. But when I plan a trip, first I go on Google. I don't go to this review website or this advisor website to plan a trip. I don't, because I see how it is for St. Louis, and I'm like,
it's paid. A lot of that stuff's paid, and a lot of it's
how many times have you been up in the Arch in your life? I've been up there twice.
I've actually never been up in the Arch.
See?
Yeah.
Like,
people are like crazy. Like, we're doing it this summer, but like I've been to the Arch, into the museum a bunch of times, but like actually going into the Arch is like a 1 or 2 time thing.
Dude, I did that in preschool, and I did it for my 27th birthday just because I had the day off, and I'm like, I'm going to go up in it. And it's a beautiful view of the city. Yeah. But like sometimes like when I plan trips, man, like if I go to Vegas, I'm probably doing some of the big touristy stuff. But like when I'm going to other cities like Chicago, I want to go into the neighborhood. I want to actually like see it. I want to experience it. It's like like Anthony Bourdain, he said, don't be a tourist, be a traveler. And like, Anthony Bourdain is like one of my biggest inspirations too, because during COVID, I was like, I'm not getting on TikTok. I'm going to make my little bit of content, but I'm also going to paint my garage. And so I don't really have time to read. I read a lot for work. I read a lot for school. So last thing I want to do when I'm off of that, like, is read.
Personal gain.
Yeah. So I listen to Audible, and which I like it too, because a lot of times you can have that person's voice reading that to you. If I'm listening to like a Gary Vee book, sometimes he's the one that's reading it, or I listen to a lot of biographies. But one of the coolest things about listening to Anthony Bourdain's book was just like, and he's such a big inspiration. Was
he reading it? Was he the one reading it?
Yeah, he was. Oh man, his voice, like, dude, he was reading that. But it was like,
what's the book called?
What is it? I'll have to text it to you.
Yeah,
actually, it's in my Audible library.
Yeah. I want to read it.
But like one of the coolest things was like, so I grew up watching some of his shows, and I always loved how he wasn't at the touristy area. He'll show that because that's where people go. That's where they're comfortable. But then he shows like the actual place. Like he'll go in Jamaica and actually meet and mingle with like the everyday people. I got to meet So I started the STL Short series, and that was going to be a podcast, but I realized how much work goes into a podcast. So I'm like, let me just do Instagram lives. And I'm like, I'm going to start it one day. But then I had the chance to meet or interview Murphy Lee. Because I sent you to that event because like my wife and I, we had the symphony night in Forest Park.
Yeah, I remember that.
You can't really cancel the date, that you've been looking forward with your wife. Like that's just not what you do.
It.
Yeah. So I'm like, hey, Luke, Dante, y'all need to go to this. And like, shout out to Elizabeth Danielle. Like she actually set it up for me to interview him. So I had that I started that interview series with Murphy Lee. Then I'm like, oh crap. Like what do I do with this?
Yeah,
like
where do you go from now?
that's a Grammy Award winner. And then shout out to Anthoninos. They actually told me about Zamir Goda, which he's been in a few episodes of Anthony Bourdain's show. He was like his I think they call him his left-hand man for like 15 something years. So he's made a few appearances in like Parts Unknown and No Reservations. Man, I met him at Anthoninos and then I got to interview him and it was like just the craziest thing ever. I'm like asking him these questions about like, this scene, like what actually happened. And he was like, what did you think about Tony's documentary that came out? I was like, oh, I haven't seen it. And he was saying how he didn't really like how they portrayed him to be such a dark individual. He's like, what do you think of Anthony Bourdain? And I'm like, to be honest with you, like I probably wouldn't have my page if it weren't for him, because he inspired us to actually, he inspired our generation a lot, but like his whole life, his generation was just hating on him. Like, oh, this guy isn't this, blah, blah, blah. But like to our generation, he inspired us to like go out, try food, get into the culture, because you can go, I've gone to like every fast food chain. I used to travel for work. They put us out in the suburbs. All those chains are right there. So sometimes I got it was convenient. So I'd go to them. I don't need to go to those anymore.
Yeah, there's no reason.
There's no reason. Like, and I'd rather pay an extra $4 to like, support
wait
someone.
An extra 10 minutes outside, while you're waiting for the food, even though it's not quick.
Dude, I don't wait. I mean, I get there at 4 o'clock. I get there at 5 o'clock. Yeah, man. Hey,
it's different, man.
I'm avoiding all the rushes.
Yeah.
But like, Anthony Bourdain, like.
Well, if you eat at 4, you got to eat again at like 8.
I have ice cream for that, bro.
Okay.
Why do you think I'm always at like Clementine's or like Ted Drew's? Shout out to Ted Drew's and Clementine's. Like, or actually even Schnucks, man. Schnucks had some ice cream on sale. Like I went by Ted Drew's the other night. I'm like, oh man, that's a long line. And I needed that ice cream. Or frozen custard, but I needed ice cream at that time. So I just drove to Schnucks.
Yeah, grab some ice cream.
Oh, bro, it was like $3. And I'm like, oh man, we're going to get some Reese's Pieces. We're going to get some M&Ms. Like,
yeah, at least with Schnucks, you can get the carton and then you can eat it later too. You don't have to eat it all at one sitting.
Hey, they make it easy.
But what were you were saying something about Anthony Bourdain?
Yeah, man, just like he really inspired my content. I don't even know how I got on Anthony Bourdain, but like it was like he really did inspire.
About reading. We were talking about reading, and then you kind of led to that, or we were talking about people and content. But yeah, I agree. I think there needs to be a diversity in the food that we show, because like if I'm telling my parents to come down from Wentzville or from Lake St. Louis and drive 45 minutes to St. Louis, it's like, where are we going to eat at? A lot of times, some of these mainstream places, like we're not going to be able to get a group of 5 or 8 or 10 in there.
Yeah.
So it's just, and it's getting them people to try things, because up until I was like 16, I was a cheeseburger and fries guy.
Yeah.
I was always a cheeseburger plain with cheese guy. And then when I met Marissa and we started hanging out when we were like 21 is when we like really started dating. We immediately just made a commitment to like try new things all the time, try to cook. We taught ourselves how to cook not really well, but we taught ourselves how to cook food at home, which was like not something I used to do when I was younger, so my mom always cooked. But I taught myself how to cook, and then I tried sushi for the first time. I tried all this fish and all this different things. And then we moved to St. Louis. I was like, I just want, when I go to a restaurant or when somebody sends us to a restaurant, like somebody over at Jasper Paul sent me to a restaurant. I asked them, I said, what should I order? Like, what is the highlight meals of that? Because I just want to be told what to do. I'm not picky. Now, Marissa's a little bit different. She's going to get what she's,
Can I get this taken out?
She's comfortable. And like, same with Chinese spots. Like, we'll go to a Chinese food spot. I'm like, let's try another one. And like, but like, we know that Chinese food's good.
Yeah.
So I'm not wasting a night. But I'm like, it's all good. And then we went to Kim Ban's for the first time, and Kim Ban's was fire.
Where's that at?
It's on Grand. And it's like, dude, you wouldn't expect it when you walked in, but like, it's fire. Black rice. Like, that rice is black. Yeah, it's good.
Kim
Van.
Okay.
Yeah, on Grand.
Dude, so.
Or Gravois. It's like where Grand and Gravois, like South Grand and Gravois meet right there.
Oh, yeah. So it's close to that, like,
it's right by
White
Coffee
Castle.
Stamp and Trader Bob's. Trader Bob's, Tattoo, Coffee Stamp. Yeah, that White Castle's right on the corner there. You go down the street, like you're heading down towards Benton Park.
Yeah.
It's like right there on the left. But Shout out Kim Van, but like that, like trying new places. Like I've tried so many foods. Like I've ate raw octopus from a Greek restaurant. I've ate like stuff that I wouldn't think I'd eat, and Marissa as well. And just opening up, because when we have people like come to dinner with us and it's a small plate and it's an expensive cocktail, like people are like, is this it? You know, but we appreciate that. So it's really hard for us to share that with other people. That's why we go out to eat a lot.
Yeah.
But we go on dates like a lot, and we get blessed with dates because people give us things. Like on Saturday, like we have 2 things to do that normally we would just be at home, but like people are giving us stuff to do.
Well, and it's like people will ask me, hey, Braden, how do you have all this time to do this stuff? And I'm like, I don't watch TV. Like I watched, well, kind of. I watched a lot of TV in 2020, okay? And like then I got
time.
bored.
Everybody has time.
Like I can, if I go experience something, it's like 2 hours, 2.5 hours tops, right?
Right.
So then I can still go home if I want to throw on a game or something, I can watch it. But like I would rather go to a Blues playoff game. I would rather go to a Cardinals game. Like, and actually if you go on a StubHub or something like that and you wait like an hour before and you're going to go to the game, you can get tickets like dirt cheap. I paid like $60 for 4 tickets the other night. It was 60 degrees. It went down to 65 degrees. We got a Funko Pop of Ozzie Smith. Yeah. We saw Albert Pujols pitch. We won 15-6. Like, I'm like, bro, I paid $15 for that, you know?
Yeah. You took the fam with you and you were just having a good time.
Bro, we had such a great time. And it's like, I would rather do that kind of stuff than watch TV and watch how other people live. Like, I think that's one of the things I do need to do is start consuming. I don't need to do it, but I think it would be better if I start watching more content from around the country, because a lot of times I just create based upon what's in my head. And it's just been so cool to connect with so many people who like support what you're doing and they love it. They enjoy it. Like I ran into someone in San Francisco I think it was April of last year. I had my account for 1 year. I ran into someone in San Francisco. I had a mask on. I was with my wife looking at the painted ladies like you've seen on Full House. And I've ran into someone and they recognized me and we had a conversation. I'm like, how the hell? Like this is 1,800 miles away. And then like even this week, I was doing my corporate job and I go into a place and I ran into someone that her and her husband like follow me. And she's like, she FaceTimes her husband like, hey, look who it is. And, oh, what's up, Braden? And so it's like,
that's crazy. Like
that's just so crazy. Like to be able to connect with them. And the thing I like to do, and I'm really going to keep trying to do more of it this summer, is a lot of giveaways, because my goal, like especially last year, I was like, I want to give these people same opportunities that I have. And so if I can ever get an extra ticket to something or extra meal, I want to give more St. Louis like those opportunities. And they have a better chance of winning on my platform than they do on your platform, than they do on the radio, TV, because
it's a more realistic chance.
Yeah, more of
like
a realistic.
50 to 100 people comment, or even 25 people comment. Like where we had one, it was like 1,000 people, and I'm like scrolling trying to like put it in the thing.
What was your big one? Had like 10,000. Yeah, like 10,000 people, and I'm like, bro, like I want to give people opportunities. Hey, you enter mine. It's like I don't know, 30 people, because I'm just like I'm going to do them so many times, like so often. Like it takes some work, but I'm just like I would rather give St. Louis more of those opportunities, because I'm one of them. I'm just an everyday guy. Like I always wanted those kind of opportunities. The only time I ever won anything was, I didn't even know if I actually won it. I was at Six Flags and I think it was like 100.3 the beat. They were there and they had some and1 street ball tickets. And I think I was just annoying the guy so much that he just gave me the ticket.
Kick rocks.
Yeah, bro. I was like this, like 12, I was like a 6'2", 12-year-old. Hey man, can I get those? I was probably like 145 pounds, probably walking around with like jabos and like a long Soulja Boy jersey or something, man. Hey man, can I get those tickets? And so like, that was like the only time I think I've ever actually won something.
Hilarious.
And so like now, like I just try to give people,
experiences.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing, is people have to experience it and get out. So it is really crazy when somebody says, oh, are you like Luke with STL Bucket List? And this happens like everywhere we go. Yeah. And it's nuts. And like Marissa, like it's overwhelming sometimes. And I'm like, I mean, but that's what happened when we put our face out there. When I had these events, like the Locals Choice Award is going to be even bigger this year. And it's going to be happening later in the fall. So it's going to be nice out and we're going to do something really cool. But like having these events put a name to the face, and then now doing the podcast, it's like if somebody watches this whole episode for an hour, they're spending an hour of their week with us, which is crazy. And not everybody does. People love our Instagram reel of the episode. Like if we cut this up into 60 seconds, we'll put a highlight on there. It'll get 10,000 views. If we put it on YouTube, it might get 100, because people just don't have the time to spend or they just haven't experienced it yet.
Hey, it's a great podcast. Like if you're doing some cardio at the gym, that's what I text you. I'm like, dude, I listen to it like when I'm doing cardio because like
it's a chill listen and it's an easy listen. Like it's just real conversation.
And it's the content that our city needs, man.
Yeah.
Like you're not just going after the same 5 people. You're like you're reaching across the board. You're getting all different kinds of people, and that's why, like I said, like man, I believe in what you're doing. I love what you're doing, and like just being able to learn things about St. Louis people. Like I'm supporting these brands, and it's nice to learn a little bit more. So if like when in doubt, like God forbid, if they're having a rough stretch, we can go there. You know, we can be like, hey, let's all rally around this place. Let's
do an emergency podcast real quick. Let's do a little 30-minute session where you come in and talk about why people should come out and support you. Like we have that access to do that. So yeah, man, it's special. And I think that what you're doing is amazing. And, you know, talking to Dante, talking to Ace, all these guys and girls like Whitney's out here doing crazy stuff. Like we're spending our Saturday mornings Saturday morning is when I typically edit. And I'm like sitting there editing on a Saturday morning when I don't have to. Yeah. There's no reason. I'm not getting paid to do that. But it's like if I can get that out and if I could keep staying in front of people and consistently be consistent, I know that eventually it's going to make a difference. And I honestly believe that we are the #1 media page for what to do in St. Louis. But in order to do that, I have to continue to do it. Like, because I could just stop, you know, or something like that. So I kind of like to wrap it up with, if you could sit down and have lunch with anyone in the world, dead or alive, and just spend some time with, you can think about it for a second. Right. But if you can just sit down and just have a conversation with somebody, whether it's about business, life, marriage, who would it be? Who's the one person that you would have that golden ticket lunch with?
Man, it has to be LeBron.
Mm-hmm.
It just like since
because you looked up to him for so long.
Bro, since I was 12, I remember being like 11 or 12, and I was watching him in a McDonald's All-Star Dunk Contest. And then like all those years, my buddies would give me crap. Oh, he sucks. And then he wins the championship. And then like my wife and I, when we were at Missouri State, we drove up to Kansas City one night because we had they were playing Brad Beal with the Wizards in Kansas City at the Sprint Center. It was like $80. It's all I paid for the ticket. I was there like courtside, you know, shaking hands with all these different players and stuff. And like, this dude has more security than the Secret Service. Like, it is crazy. Before he comes out, man, they have all the security out looking around. The only other person I ever saw that kind of security for was his son in Springfield this past year. And they're looking around like it's crazy. I mean, but like just being able to talk to LeBron, and I mean, he's just like very inspiring, man. You know what I mean? And to take so much criticism for no reason. Like, oh, he left his city. I'm like, he doesn't owe his city, you know, like he came back and won that championship, but like they were burning jerseys. Like, they're like, oh, well, you know, the game's changed. I'm like, life has changed.
He gave him 7 years of his life. And like, you remember those teams. I mean, the second best player was like Boogie or whatever his name was. And like the Ilgauskas, the tall dude, like they didn't have a team, but yeah, having lunch with him. I mean, what would you talk about with him?
What would I talk about, man? I would try to figure out the media business, man. Yeah. I think that'd be very interesting. I'll probably ask questions about like different things.
I think marriage, because he's been married for like, that's pretty rare to be married like
that long.
That stardom, like being that famous.
Yeah, well, like another thing is, think about all the people that grew up in St. Louis. They left St. Louis. They came back and they brought a new restaurant concept, right? Mm-hmm. Where they brought in, you know, maybe their own business and stuff, right? I went away to college. That opened up my mind. You know, partied, made a lot of good connections, a lot of good friendships, and I came back up here with different ideas. But he like graduated high school, worked essentially in that same town, and so when he went to Miami, it was like he was with the Heatles, you know, having a great time, and then he came back, kind of like people do in St. Louis, and won that championship. But like talking to him, man, I'd probably talk to him about all different kinds of stuff. Like, I'm curious on food. This man, like, I'm sure he's eating some crazy meals. Like, hey, you know, what's your diet? What's your workout regimen? You know, how do you stay humble? Like Kanye said, how do you stay humble when you're stunned on a jumbotron every single night? You know, and how do you stay level-headed? Because people are after you. People hate you for no reason, you know? Definitely some, you know, marriage tips, because he traveled a lot. I used to travel a lot for work too. Right. So maybe I probably wouldn't ask about that. I used to travel all the time for work. Like, the corporate job had me going 3 weeks at a time away. I was working like 80-hour weeks, and I get 5 days off, and I travel again. But it's like something I had to do to help pay for the wedding. You know how expensive that is. You know, help buy a house. You know how expensive. Well, especially in this market.
Yeah, we're getting there.
Just wait till a little after the recession.
Yeah, I'm gonna wait. Yeah, I'm gonna wait a little bit. We're fine. We like where we're at, but yeah, I think that would be a cool conversation, and then talk about like the stuff that he did, because the stuff that he did in his city, like bringing the school back there and the foundation that he's doing, and is something that, you know, hopefully that our brand can get big enough to where we can actually affect change for other nonprofits. Now, we don't have any big plans of becoming a nonprofit ourselves, but how can we use our brand to help support these nonprofits? Because there's a lot of people in the city that are doing, you've worked with a few, I've worked with a few that have done a lot of good things. But how can we shed light on that, you know, and that's what we want to do, man. So I appreciate you for coming on. It was a fire episode.
Thanks for having me, brother.
Yeah, fire episode. So guys, before we let them off, tell them where they can find you, tell them what they can do to support, and kind of anything else you want to talk about.
Yes. So you can follow me on Instagram and TikTok, BradEN, BradENSTL. And then look out for the STL food vlog. It'll premiere in 5 days on YouTube, STL food vlog. So appreciate you for having me on.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys. As always, we're recording this podcast here at Half Coast Studios. They're the hottest podcast in St. Louis. They'll come here, you record the podcast, they'll put it up on YouTube for you. They do all the work. So shout out to Matt in the back for always producing such a fire episode. And if you guys want to support the show, the best way to do it is just share it on your story or share it to a friend that might gain value from that person that we had a conversation with. And if you want to give us a little money, we got some t-shirts on the website for sale too. So we'll see you guys next Wednesday. Thank you guys so much for tuning in.